Warning.
This show contains mature content. Listener discretion is advised.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
One angry New York City Puerto Rican decided to start a radio show. Determined to piss the world off by shoving a mirror in front of society's face, he kicked them in the balls.
What are you? Who are you?
This is the Crotch Shot Radio Show. Crotch Shot Radio Show.
This is not a test. This is a broadcast transmission.
We're going to stay on the air.
And now, the Whippy.
Yo, welcome to the Crowd Shot Radio Show, where we kick the issues in the balls. We're on an active war against bullshit. We will do anything and everything to expose bullshit. The ends sometimes justify the means. So if you're angry and want the truth exposed, then strap in and prepare to be shocked. This is Smash Mouth Talk. If you can't accept that, then fuck off. I'm your host, Louis B. I takes no bullshit from no one. I expose the shit of society, and I give it to you in nice, easy-to-digest chunks. Today won't be any different. I am honored. Today, I'm really excited about today's show because sometimes I get guests that, you know, are like, la-di-da, but they're these guests that I look forward to, that I look up to. I really agree with their opinions a lot. And I am honored to have Mr. Colin Flaherty. How you pronounce your name? I am so sorry.
Oh, come on, man. If I'm gonna be your hero, you gotta know my name. Jeez, Louis.
I know. I'm sorry.
Just call me Colin. How's that? Just how about this? Call me the guy who wrote that book, Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. How's that sound?
Yeah, exactly. He's that guy. He's the guy that gets the black people angry, I guess. Mr. Flaherty. I'm gonna get it. I'll get it.
Just take out the H, pretend it's an R. Just say Flaherty. How's that sound?
Oh, there you go. Mr. Flaherty is an award-winning writer whose work has been published in more than 1,000 places around the globe, including the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Boston Globe, Miami Herald, Washington Post, Bloomberg Businessweek, Time Magazine, and others. He is the author of the Amazon's #1 bestseller, White Girl Bleed a Lot, The Return of Racial Violence and How the Media Ignores It. And his new book, Don't Make the Black Kids Angry, The Hoax of Black Victimization and Those Who Enable It. Sir, thank you for coming on.
It's an honor to be here.
Yes, actually, the honor is having you on. Just want to start off from the beginning. What was your inspiration in writing White Girl Bleed a Lot?
Well, my brother and I were doing a radio show at WDEL in Wilmington, Delaware, and I started seeing this story come in from Philadelphia. It was about some kids, Asian kids at a school in South Philadelphia getting beat up. Apparently they were beating themselves up because they didn't say who was doing the assaulting. Looked into it more. Turns out this had been happening for years, daily. Harassment, violence, all sorts of bad things. And what it was black on Asian violence and crime for every day for years until finally the Asian kids went on strike. So I started showing this story around, and I was to other people at the radio station, to other reporters, said, this looks like a good old fashioned case of, black mob violence to me. And they all said, no, Colin, race has nothing to do with that. And then it started happening again, except this time with flash mobs, large groups of black people in the street, stopping traffic, burning cars, pulling people out of cars, beating them up, going into restaurants, stealing stuff, fighting police. This kept happening over and over. And I kept showing these stories to people. So what's up with this? Because the newspaper always said one thing, like the kids are just blowing off some steam, a couple of teenagers. And then you look at the YouTube video, and there's this enormous gap between what the paper said happened and what really happened. Kept showing this to reporters. They kept telling me that race had nothing to do with anything. That's when I knew I had a story. So I wrote White Girl. Then I saw it happening all over the country. I wrote White Girl Bleed a lot. Thomas Sowell wrote a couple columns about it. Alan West wrote about it. All of a sudden, I had a nice little book on my hands.
Nice. I really do like it. Goodness, where was I going to go with this? What do you think are the causes of? Well, let's go through the excuses they give. This is what white people get, or this is what everyone gets for slavery. All the black man is being held down. Look how we live in the community. White people are to blame for everything.
Louis, I don't think anybody on this planet has heard more excuses for black pathology than I have. Mm-hmm. So I got a list of literally about 1,000 of them.
Oh yeah.
The biggest one right now is this, is some form of this, which is black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. So it's all about racism today. Mm-hmm. A year or two ago, we were hearing the same old excuses we had heard for the last 49 years. Poverty, education, neighborhood, family, whatever. None of that's on the table anymore. Today, it's all about white racism. That's what's causing any disparity between white people and black people, crime, education, rates of arrest, rates of drug use. It's all racism. I don't think a lot of people know that, Louis.
No, but okay. Oh man, why am I just blanking out?
You know what? I can keep gabbing. I'll tell you what. I'll keep gabbing because I can just go on this.
Yeah, go right ahead. Well, the first time I emailed you, I told you a story when I went to high school, which I had to. When I was in high school, I had to end up transferring, and part of the reason was. I was being attacked physically by the black kids because I was doing well in Spanish class.
Let me ask you this, Louis. In your school, how many non-black kids were victims of racial violence at the hands of black kids?
To tell you the truth, I didn't know this because I was too busy having to worry about my own safety.
Did you? Okay, so but I will tell you, you were not the only one.
Yeah, no. Well,
here's the thing I want to ask you.
Yeah, I heard stories of, one instance I saw in this high school was, I saw two Spanish girls. They were talking Spanish to each other on their way to class. And of course, a black guy or another black student told them to shut the F up and speak English. So,
take all the black on white, black on Hispanic crime and violence from your school. Multiply that by 10,000. How many high schools are there in this that are mixed race things? 1,000, 5,000. You then multiply that by the number of years. Put a number on that: 10, 20, 30 years. You get a very, very large number of white people who are victims of black violence, but who absolutely refuse to talk about it. They're either ashamed of it or they're embarrassed that if they talk about it, they'll become victims once again because people will say that they are racist. There's a lot, this happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, I actually made this, it's kind of funny that if, discussing this, I'm pretty sure someone's going to start saying, oh, Louis is a racist for having...
Hey, Louis, hold on. I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
Listen. You and I do not apologize for having this conversation. Mm-hmm. You and I are absolutely not going to anticipate criticism. We're not going to worry about these cowardly trolls. We're going to let them worry about us speaking the truth. Can you make me that promise right now?
I promise. I don't apologize.
Let's do that for the rest of our lives. How's that sound?
All right, that's a promise.
We don't care about the trolls. You know what Thomas Sowell, how he defines a racist?
How?
Any conservative winning an argument with a liberal.
Oh. Well, that's true. I mean, I made this post on my Facebook and Twitter the other day. We live in a strange society where I could scream, "I hate black people," and the possible response could be getting punched in the face, because nothing inspires love and acceptance more than violence. The problem is not race or sexism. I think people need to stop acting like victims and get over themselves.
The victimization is and by the way, nobody on this call is talking about hating black people at all. But I am writing a book about calling people who are relentless victims. I'm going to call them on it because the numbers are just wildly in the opposite direction. Black people are not the victims of racial violence. Black people are the perpetrators of it. I mean, when I heard people going around saying, let me ask you this. When you heard people going around going, well, it's a war on black people in this country, did that ring true to you, to your own personal experience?
Well, the thing is, I see it both ways, because I do see there's some instances of racism.
No, I'm talking about just you.
Just me.
I'm talking about you and me. That's who's on this call right now. Did you conduct a war on black people, or did black people conduct a war on you?
Black people conducted a war on me.
Okay, then let's speak the truth. Okay? Let's talk it, and let's not apologize for it. Let's not dance around it. Let's not fill it up with fluff, because that's what everybody else does. Right. We're past that. I mean, we're way past that.
I've had a past guest on here who he goes by NYC Resistance, and he films NYPD police officers as they do stop and frisk on blacks and Hispanics here in New York City. And I mean, when he was on here, he made some good points. Unfortunately, he ended up blocking me because I'm not pro-black, because I'm not black. But it's because ironically, after I did that interview with him, I was mugged at gunpoint. And
by a cop?
No.
That was a joke, Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear all this anti-cop stuff, but if people saw what I saw, the videos I've saw, the victims I've talked to, the police reports I've read, the 911 calls I've listened to, they'd be a lot less anti-cop than they are.
True. I mean, I'm not anti-cop. It's there's some rotten apples everywhere. But it doesn't give them an excuse to execute 2 police officers here in New York City. It doesn't give them an excuse to execute 2 police. Well, I don't know if both those officers are dead in Ferguson.
They're wounded. They're not dead, but they were. The guy wished they'd been dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it doesn't seem like. I think it's right, but then you see examples of what happened to Kelly Thomas, the white homeless guy that was beaten to death, and those officers got off. It's like,
okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Louis. We can sit here. The cops have how many transactions per year with people? How many? Millions and millions and millions. Some of them go wrong, but I will tell you, compared to the level of black on white crime, black on Asian crime, black on Hispanic crime in this country, the level of violence that people are suffering at the hands of cops is so ridiculously infinitesimal. I don't even know why you're bringing it up, right, other than it might be my mission on this phone call to deprogram you from this like relentless victimization that has led you to think that cops are somehow your enemy when you have personal experience that they are not.
No, they're not.
So I'm asking you to look at your own life.
I personally have never had a bad experience with a police officer.
Okay, then let's speak your truth.
Okay.
And let's not worry about what some clown with daddy issues comes on your show and he goes, "Oh, Louis, I don't like the police officers because they're big bad people that try to tell me what to do." Okay, no. Why are we going there?
Oh, I just want to be fair and balanced.
Okay, yeah. No. That's not fair and balanced. That's BS. I'm calling you out. Okay. Now, here's the thing.
Fair enough.
There's so much happening right now, that's real, that's on video. People are getting hurt. That puts a lie to this whole story of black victimization. That's what we got. That's what's interesting. Sitting here and going, following cops around and going, oh, that cop, he was impolite to that person. I don't like that. Come on, man. Is that really important? No. Is that really, really what your mission in life is going to be now? Hassling people who are trying to protect you and giving a free pass to the people who are trying to hurt you? That's suicidal, Louis. And there's a sickness in this country now where a lot of people are doing that. That's suicidal. It's insane. And, I don't, and you know what? It's our mission on this call, on this show. We're going to get you squared away, my man.
All right, then. Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Okay, let me give you some examples. Okay. So I write about I write about black on white crime, black mob violence. I write about how the media ignores it, denies it, condones it. They encourage it. They even lie about it. And so,
oh yeah, because they're so afraid of that mysterious backlash. Did I just
okay? And so, so I wrote these. That's what Don't Make the Black Kids Angry is about. So last night in Minneapolis. This is on video. Hundreds and hundreds of black kids are rampaging through the streets of Minneapolis downtown, beating people up, destroying property, fighting police, doing all sorts of bad things, firing gunshots. And same thing happened in Kansas City. That's just last night. Now so you put all the violence that happened in this, and you compare it to one minuscule case of some cop being impolite to some loser with a gun, and they don't really compare it. Tell you the truth. What about the guy in Stamford? Did you read about that guy in Stamford, Connecticut, just a couple days ago?
No.
An Hispanic. Okay, yeah. I'll tell you something else. You know who there's another war on? Illegal immigrants in this country, especially in that whole 200-mile area around New York City. Black people are targeting South American and Mexican immigrants. One of these guys from Guatemala walking out of McDonald's with a cup of coffee. He gets bumped by a bunch of black people. They get angry. They say he spilled coffee on them. They killed him. This is like a day or two ago. That, what are we to think about that? Is it isolated? No, it's not isolated.
No, it happened a few years on Staten Island. It was I believe an Ecuadorian guy.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's in the book.
Yeah, he was beaten was he beaten to death?
There's a bunch of them. Yeah. There's a bunch of them in New Jersey, Staten Island. There's a couple a little bit north and east of New York. All just draw a big circle. In New Jersey, they have, it's kind of like a rite of initiation. You go around, you look for day laborers on their payday, and you beat the crap out of them. You have fun, and you take a couple bucks from them. And guess what? The papers are scared to death to talk about it. And you and I want to sit here and talk about how the cops are the bad guys? Not on my watch, my man. Come on, Lily.
Okay then. Well, why? What? What other excuses have you heard that people give black people for doing?
Okay. Check this out. So I'm on the radio yesterday.
Yeah.
In somewhere in Ohio, a black woman who's a black elected official in Ohio, a Republican. She calls herself a conservative. Have this great conversation for about 20 minutes. Then I don't know, somebody flicked the switch, and the good Tracy was left, and the bad Tracy came in. All of a sudden, she's telling me about everything that happened to her in the last couple of days. She went to the bank without ID. They kind of like made her jump through some hoops before they gave her. She didn't have ID. She didn't have an ATM card. She walked up to the teller and said, "I need $50 out of my account." She expected the teller to know who she was. When the teller did not know who she was, this radio host believed, and she kind of started ranting at me. Believed that was all about racism. Okay. Then the day before, she went to pick up her car at a garage. something wasn't done to her satisfaction. That was without a doubt racism. So it's like, how many excuses? You said, how many excuses are there? I say, how much, how many years do you have to listen to them? Right. It's like everybody is what. But this starts at the top, by the way, up at Obama, goes down to Little League moms, looking through the world through this lens of race. Everything is race. Everything is racial. All white people hate black people. And we're all racist, and that explains everything. It's just as bad. And kids are learning it in school. Talk a lot about that in my new book. I'm telling you, it's just as bad as you could imagine. And I do not believe a lot of people know this.
Honestly, no white person has ever called me a spick to my face. It's always been a black person that's been racist towards me. In fact, which kind of brings me to I want to play this clip. This is from comedian Paul Mooney, and you probably already know what I'm going to play. And I would really like if you give your comments after this.
Can black comedians be racist?
A black person can't be racist by definition.
Why is that?
Because we don't have any control over people's lives. I can't tell you what neighborhood to live in. I can't tell you what school to go to. I can't tell you you're a second-class citizen. I can't tell you that you can't vote. If I get on that corner and say, I get on that corner for 5 years and I stand there and I go, I'm going to take me a knife and I'm going to cut your throat. And I'm going to take a car and I'm going to run you over. And I'm going to take this hammer and I'm going to beat you till you dead. If I never kill anybody, am I a murderer? No. When I kill somebody, what does that make me? A murderer. I don't care what I talk about. I can talk about it all day long. All we do is talk. White folks do. White folks make laws. There's laws in the book. I'm from Louisiana that said if you marry out of your race, you go to jail. You understand? There's laws that you can't own property. They made laws. Laws. You can't vote. You can't go to school. You can't live in this area. You ain't never seen a sign that said, white boy, if you in this town when this sun goes down, we're going to hang you. Now have you. That's racism. A practice. What you preach. I hate that crap when they say that. It's like the race card. You're so worried about it. I'm worried about how in the hell did it get in the deck? And they brainwash everybody. They have a brainwashing machine that's unreal. That's why you can't catch a cab in New York. Because they think that you're the enemy. The color of your skin condemns you. That's why white people live 8 years longer than we do. Because we have to put up with this crap. I go through it all the time. I get sick of it. I get sick of it. I go into a 5-star hotel. I come here to do the David Letterman show. 8 o'clock in the morning. I cannot make this up. I'm not this good. I get on the elevator. There's a white woman there in civilian clothes, probably about 45, looks at me and says, can I help you? I said, well, who in the hell are you? I'm the maid. I said, well, bitch, go make up a bed and get the hell out of my face. Can you imagine a grown woman, I'm a mature black gentleman, asking me that, opening that door? I could have went crazy. She opened a very dangerous door. Agreed? Agreed. These are things I have to go through as a black male. I don't like it. This is insanity. And it doesn't happen only because of white people, because of black Anglo-Saxon. You could be white up here. I'm in first class. I'm at the JFK, and the black woman's asking me, do you know what line you're in? Because I'm in first class. I said, do I look like Stevie Wonder? Yeah, I know where I am. I'm in first class. And you cannot help me. Go get your white manager. I don't want to talk to you, you dummy.
Okay, what do you think?
A little bit of that goes a long way with me. Listen, I don't use the word racism just because of that, because I don't let people deflect me from what what I want to show them. And so I use the words racial hostility, racial animosity. Did you sense any racial hostility and animosity in that, what we just heard there?
Yes.
Did you sense a relentless stream of excuses? Yes. There's a lot of that going on.
But what is your definition of racism then?
I don't even use the word because guys like that have polluted the word. So when I use the word of racial hostility, I use the word, racial antipathy to describe the hate that a lot of black people express towards white people through violence. Like the guy we just heard. Now, would you consider him a well-adjusted, well-reasoning human being? Would you consider him a guy with a lot of racial antipathy towards white people?
I do think he does have a problem with white people, but he's also a very famous comedian.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care if he's Abraham Lincoln. It doesn't matter. I listened to what he said. But here's the important point about what he said. He's not an outlier. He's absolutely mainstream. This is a mainstream point of view you could find on Ebony, Jet, Griot, The Root, Atlantic, Washington Post, Black Voices, HuffPo, Black Voices, lots and lots of newsrooms. This kind of this black on white hostility is now normal and considered mainstream.
Yeah. What do you think of the whole sentiment that was going around that, now that we have Obama in office, we're going to be able to start doing all this stuff towards white people, and we're going to be able to get away with it?
You know who I hear that from?
Who?
I hear that from people who work in prisons. They told me that after Obama was elected, I heard this from 2 prison psychologists. And after Obama was elected, the people in prisons were elated. They said, "We run this place now." So I don't know, but I don't know about that, but I do know this, that I do know that the level of racial hostility directed at people, black towards white, is enormous, and a lot of white people refuse to acknowledge it.
Yeah. Mildra in the chat room, he says, "I thought we taught our kids that retribution is not justified."
You know what? There's a lot. I'll tell you this. Some kids are learning, like, okay, let's be colorblind. Let's not do, let's live a just life. Mm-hmm. Other kids learning in black schools, they are learning that racism's everywhere. It's relentless. It explains everything. White people are evil. They're learning this at a very young age. They're learning all about slavery. They're learning how slavery still exists today, but just in a different form. Very, very popular theme in books and in libraries.
Oh yeah. Well, the U.S. has the highest prison population, and most of it's minorities in prison.
I just saw this again today.
Yeah.
But it's something it's in the book, and I write about this a lot. The crime rate between white and black there's an enormous difference, right?
Right.
And there's a lot more black people in prison than white. So there's only a couple reasons for that. One, cops are picking on black people for no reason whatsoever. Two, cops are ignoring white people, letting white people get away with murder for no reason whatsoever, or some combination. Other than that, those, or three, black people are doing it and they're getting caught. And the popular point of view today among the black intelligentsia and the liberals is white people and black people commit the same amount of crime, but cops pick on black people. I've heard Obama say some version of that. John Conyers say a version of that. These are all up on my YouTube page. And they always use one fact to support this to me transparently ridiculous statement. They say white people and black people use the same amount of drugs, but black people go to prison 4 times more often for it. Well, I saw that one day. I saw that story in 9 different papers: New York Times, Washington Post, the big ones. So I looked at the paper and I said, well, how do they know who's using all these drugs? I looked in the paper, didn't see it. Looked at the study, not in the front, not in the middle, way in the back. It goes, well, here's how we know. We asked people. So it's called self-reporting, right?
Yeah.
So black people and white people basically say about the same, admit to using drugs in about the same amount. But all these hospitals and all these scientists are going, well, I'm not sure about this self-reporting thing. Let's test them. So I report on 2 studies, one at Johns Hopkins, one in the Journal of Addictive Behavior, where they had these black people and white people, and they had them in the hospital, so they already knew if they were, the only one way you can tell, right? You got to test. So they asked them, they said, are you using drugs? Using this kind of drug? And they go, oh, no, yes, no, yes. Well, it turns out when you compare with what they said versus what they tested, black people are lying 6 times more often. And it's the main indicator of deceit on a self-reporting test is whether the person is African American. That's like almost a direct quote from these peer-reviewed studies. So the whole thing that black people and white people commit the same amount of crime, same amount of drug use, absolute hoax, a transparent hoax that a lot of people have fallen for. Am I talking too much here?
No. It's just I just wanted to make a quick comment and get your response because I mean when I've complained about how how black people have stolen from me, how how the people who stolen from me happen to be black, how people who have been racist towards me happen to be black, and I'm told, oh, just why don't you get over it? Get over it? Well, why don't you get over slavery that you've never experienced, obviously? Like, I mean, I would like to throw out a statistic. I haven't done a study myself, but I believe it's correct. 100% of white people have living today have never owned a black slave, and 100% of black people living today have never been slaves and worked a plantation.
A guy won the Pulitzer Prize. He's now an editor at the Washington Post just a couple of years ago, right, for writing a book that basically said black people were essentially slaves up till 20, 30 some years ago. And so this guy is hugely popular on college campuses and this like circuit, that writers go on, hugely popular. And he said, I saw him on C-SPAN a few months ago. He's sitting there talking about the Tea Party. He was covering the Tea Party for the Wall Street Journal.
That is such a
2012.
I mean, I would like to consider myself a supporter of the Tea Party.
Well, this guy was covering it. Then a year after he's done covering it, he's on this forum on C-SPAN going, those Tea Party people, they are stone cold racists, all of them. They're crazy too. So this is a Wall Street Journal reporter. What do you think the other reporters are like who don't work for conservative newspapers?
Oh yeah, no, it's like because I like to talk against feminism as well, but that's I can't wait for you to write a book on that, but yeah, it's like when you heard when the presidential when they were campaigning for the presidency, they were saying that some Tea Partiers had racist signs, and someone said, well, take a picture and show us and we'll give you money. And
yeah, do you remember that story when the Black Caucus walked through the Tea Party rally in D.C. and John Lewis comes out and goes, they called me the N-word. Breitbart put up a reward saying, anybody give me a video or recording of that, I'll give them $100,000. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Breitbart still has his $100,000.
Yeah. May he rest in peace now.
But this guy from the Wall Street Journal, he was still passing that story around as if it were true.
How can they?
That's how despicable some of these people are.
And this is the thing that pisses me off. It's like they could get away with this, and yet if you show evidence to the contrary, you're a racist.
Hey, Louis, you and I had a deal for the rest of our lives. How long did it take you to break that deal?
I'm sorry.
How long? 10 minutes? Listen, Louis.
I'm just saying.
If you and I are going to prevail, we're going to speak the truth. We got to grow a pair, my man. Mm-hmm. We can't worry about people calling us names.
Well, no,
do you worry about that?
I'm just stating what they say.
I don't care about
okay.
they.
Right.
I want them to worry. Listen, Louis, they have to. We can't worry about them. We have to make them worry about us. I'm serious. We cannot have this constant preoccupation that some loser is going to call you or me a name. Let's get over it. Yeah. They're nobody. They're nothing. Well, we are the ones with the truth.
Well, I mean, look, I'm just speaking like devil's advocate here. Like, but look what they're able to get accomplished. There was a reporter that was said something about Michelle Obama from a Spanish station. He got fired.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Anthony Cumia, he didn't even say anything racist. I know you were.
No, he was a victim of racial violence. Yeah. He got fired for being a victim.
Yeah, I mean, anybody, and I've done the show, anybody would have gotten angry and said probably far worse than what I probably would have dropped. I would have probably said nigger and shit like that if somebody of color punched me. Because when someone hits you, you're obviously gonna get upset and you want to say the most hurtful shit. It's not fair that someone could, you could be, point that Tommy Sotomayor. Have you ever heard of Tommy Sotomayor?
Sure.
He made a point where, like, let's say a white person did something to a black person, they could go on television and go, these fucking crackers, these fucking white people, these fucking race say this, but when the family of that white couple that were raped, dismembered, and burned, and dumped during the train tracks on the train tracks, it's like, their family, they had to be subdued, and I'm very disappointed, I'm very sad, I miss my son, I miss my daughter. Like, because if they were to go, these fucking niggers or these fucking, black people, they would be run out of town. They wouldn't even be taken seriously anymore.
So our mission is to not generalize or stereotype or be vulgar or obscene. Yeah. Also, in accomplishing our mission, we do have to recognize there is a double standard. Now, if your mission in life is to knock down the double standard, go ahead. My mission in life is to expose this unbelievable level of racial violence, and that is going to knock down the double standard. Mm-hmm. And so there's a difference. And so I'm not fighting the double standard battle. I'm not fighting the fact that somebody could say that expletive and I can't say that expletive. I don't care. Yeah. I believe this racial violence is so bad. It is an unbelievable outgrowth of how bad their whole thing is. We're going to expose them for it.
I see. This is a question that I asked the other guest that I had on. Why do you believe that ignorance is celebrated in the black community?
I don't know. I was smoking a cigar just a few months ago in a little cigar shop in my little town where I spent some time of Wilmington, Delaware. So it was, probably like 10 seats in this place. It's the kind of place where you just go in and you sit down no matter who else is there. So I was sitting next to a black guy, and another black guy came in. He had the name of a school on his shirt. Joe Biden's school, by the way, Archmere. Mm. So I said, "Oh, you went to Archmere?" He goes, "No." It turns out right away, everybody knew who he was except me. He used to play football for the Baltimore Ravens. He went to a black college in Delaware. I didn't know any of this. So we're just sitting there talking, but within 2 minutes, he didn't know I was an author of this kind of stuff or anything. He goes, when I was in college, I used to like to read, but all my teammates would make fun of me when they saw me reading because they said I was acting white. He said it really, really held me back for a long time.
I used to get that a lot.
And so I don't know why people do that. I don't do the why. I do the how it happens. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things happening that people are denying. And so I don't do the why. Like people are saying, Colin, what's the solution? I'm saying, I don't know, because there's a lot of people that don't even believe it's happening. So why are you asking me to solve a problem that way too many people are denying even exists?
Okay. So why is it hard for them to admit that, okay, if they want a better life, they got to start fixing their own communities and stop maybe stop with this stop snitching bullshit and start turning criminals in if they want their communities, their lives to become better.
I like talking about the snitching thing. You mind if I take it on a slightly different tact?
Go right ahead.
And so the crime rate between white and black the difference is enormous, right? Depending on the crime, depending on where you live, it's 3 times, 6 times, 10 times, 100 times difference between white and black rates of crime. But as bad as the numbers are actually much, much worse because of things like stitches for snitches, witness intimidation. Yeah. You ever heard of something called a Bronx jury?
No, I've never heard of that.
Bronx jury is where black people refuse to vote to convict a black defendant of the crime that he is charged with. Big studies on this.
That's jury nullification, isn't it?
You know what? I call it racial jury nullification. That's exactly what it is. And so there's 3 reasons right there why the black crime rate is actually way worse. And it's already unbelievably bad. But we have people telling us that there's no difference. That if you took all the cops out of the black neighborhood, put them all in the white neighborhood, that there would be that they would arrest the same number of people for the same kind of crimes. This is an official policy of the United States government of America.
Oh, yeah.
I do not believe people are aware of this.
No, I've never heard of it.
I mean, Rachel, you ever watch Melissa HarrisPerry on MSNBC?
I don't watch LSD, NBC. I don't watch that.
I watch it, so you don't have to.
My uncle, he loves watching that garbage, and every time I go visit him, and he's watching Al Sharpton or he's watching Rachel Madcow, and I'm like, oh, because I consider myself a conservative libertarian. I'm a fan of Ron Paul and what he stands for. But
let me finish my point. Mm-hmm. Did you see in the pic? I'll bring in Melissa HarrisPerry in a minute. She's like Rachel Maddow Jr. Anyway, so did you see where a few weeks ago one of the Bill Cosby accusers came forward, a black woman, and do you remember why she said she did not accuse Bill Cosby of sexual assault earlier? Did you see that?
No, I just shut down.
Okay, hold on. She said she told the Washington Post, she wrote an article for the Washington Post. She said, because Bill Cosby is black, I did not want to turn him in. So, and that's the same thing Melissa HarrisPerry said. She said, black women do not like to turn black men into the police for rape and domestic abuse because they believe their men will be the victim of racial assault at the hand of the white cops. There's another reason that the black crime rate is a lot worse than it really is. In Detroit, did you see the story about Detroit? They found 11,000 rape kits languishing in a warehouse. Nobody even knew they were there. 5 years worth of rape kits.
Oh my goodness!
In New Orleans, another chocolate city, the state actually had to go into the city and say, "Listen, you guys are misclassifying these felonies as misdemeanors on purpose, in order to cook the books." The own city and the city inspectors were telling the city that too. This cooking the books is happening in New Orleans, Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Baltimore, New York. Front page story in the New York Times. It says to get arrested in New York now, you basically you have to have a videotaped confession from somebody.
And that's quite the opposite that they want. They want to make you believe.
That is the opposite of what. That is correct, sir. But so all these things, you keep adding them up, and it's like, man, the crime rate is really, really way worse than what we think it is. And so let me bring this to a point. All this information come in, and it goes, okay. So black people tell us all the time that they are relentless victims of relentless white racism. They say it's all the time, everywhere, and it explains everything. But here I'm coming at you by saying, listen, actually the black crime rate is not only bad, it's really bad, way worse than what we think. So black people are not primarily the victims of white racism. They are the perpetrators of black mob violence and black on white crime against white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, gay people, women, old people, young people, all of them astronomically out of proportion. Now, does that sound like a victim to you? Did that guy you played the clip, that comedian, did he sound like he was a victim? Or did he sound like he was a person going through life making everybody's life miserable?
Yeah, it sounded like he was making everyone's life miserable.
And but the dominant paradigm it is that black people are victims, and it's like, whoa, there's too many videotapes, there's too many victims, there's too many witnesses, too many 911 calls, there's too many police reports that show the opposite. And that's why I wrote Don't Make the Black Kids Angry, because I really wanted to challenge this dominant narrative that black people are victims, helpless victims of relentless white racism, when it is absolutely untrue.
Speaking about don't make the black kids angry, what were your thoughts about that big news story that broke last week about that girl getting jumped and beaten up at a McDonald's here in New York?
You know, it's funny. If you said, what are your thoughts about the girl getting jumped at McDonald's, I would say, oh, which one are you talking about? I got about 10 or 15 of those that fit that.
Yeah. So
McDonald's is a place where kids get beat up a lot. I got dozens of videos from Chuck E. Cheese where this stuff happens.
Oh yeah, I've seen videos of like black mothers. They just tear up a place for like almost minor infractions.
And so here's the thing, Louis. Mm-hmm. So you and I are talking about videotapes.
Yeah.
Every time you and I say that, you know what we're really doing is we're challenging anybody. We're really saying this happens. We're not saying white people don't do it. We're saying black people do it way, 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 way more than white people. And here are our videotapes that support these crime statistics. Mm-hmm. If either one of these things are wrong, then you should have some videos or some police reports or something that shows that white people are doing this too. Guess what? They're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, a few years back, it was two black women that beat up a transgendered woman in a McDonald's.
Oh man, the level of violence, black on gay violence,
and they were
so enormous.
And that
oh
poor
my God.
That, I'm straight, but I don't care. But it's besides the point. That poor person just wanted to go use the bathroom, and these people wanted to be like, you shall not pass, and we're gonna beat the crap out of you because you happen to have a different lifestyle. The level of black on black violence against black gay people and black transgender people is astronomical. Well, actually, this was a white transgendered.
That's even worse.
Chrissy something was her name. I did a show because they ended up charging both of them because at the point they weren't going to charge them, but they ended up getting charged and being sent to prison for that.
I've actually written a couple articles where I called out the gay newspapers, the gay media, for being cowards, for not talking more about black on gay violence, which there's a lot of video on it, a lot of stories.
Yeah,
they're just cowards about it.
Chrissy Lee Polis, this is from the Wikipedia page. At almost 8 p.m. on April 18th, 2011, two black teenagers beat a transgendered woman at a McDonald's in Rosedale, an unincorporated Baltimore City, Maryland, in Greater Baltimore. The McDonald's, blah, blah, blah. The victim, Chrissy Lee Polis, was 22 at the time of the attack. Polis, then a resident of Baltimore, said that she was going to use the restroom when a black female individual spat in her face. I'm putting in black because obviously they're not. Then she said another black female individual started attacking Polis. One of her attackers was 14 years old. One McDonald's employee filmed the beating and the attempts of other employee and customer trying to intervene in the attack. The other McDonald's employee in the video are heard to be laughing and saying, "Oh, get out of here, the police are coming." The beating lasted for several minutes. Weeha Jang of CBS Baltimore said, then after a powerful blow to the head, the victim appears to have a violent seizure and she bleeds from the mouth. Spectators warned the attackers to flee before the cops arrive. Polis, obviously also black, Polis said that she had been intoxicated during the attack and that she had a seizure. Polis received cuts to the face and mouth. Polis, a white American, of course, how come they mentioned her race in this article but not the race of her attackers? Okay. Stated that she believed that being transgender and white had a role in her attack. Both of her perpetrators were African American. Okay, well, there you go. Towards the end.
There's a lot of that going on. A lot of it unacknowledged. And it's here, the psychiatrists tell us we're only as sick as our secrets. And there's nothing we're more secretive about than race and racial violence. All this secrecy breeds sickness. And you know, the gay and this, when you get into the black on gay violence, it's like a perfect storm, right? It's like some gay people are not eager to let people know they're gay. And the criminals aren't eager to let people know they committed a crime. And the newspapers, they are loath to report black mob violence of any kind. So it's a perfect storm of silence and sickness. Happens a lot. Absolutely convinced a lot of people are not aware of it.
So why is it that you know, let's say, okay, let's go into Trayvon Martin, because I made the comments that it was a perfect storm of stupidity. I think George Zimmerman is an idiot. You know, I'm not gonna go into, oh, he shouldn't have followed. You know, he had every right to follow. He lived there too. But also, you can't ignore this kid has a past, and you know they try to put the innocent picture of him in a football uniform when he has a history of smoking marijuana, stealing and fighting and stuff. With that being said, I don't believe George Zimmerman should have gotten off, but I don't believe Trayvon Martin is a victim. It's just the one. I just believe the one with the better equipment won that fight.
Well, you know, to me, the interesting thing about the Trayvon business was how the people used Trayvon. They pushed him forward as the ultimate victim, and they used him as a symbol of relentless white racism against black people. Oh, yeah. They used him as a symbol to create a lie that was repeated in Ferguson, a lie that's repeated every day. And so I mean, I don't know. I don't even care who Zimmerman is. All I care about is that they're using this case to do it to perpetuate a lie and to spread a lot of damage all over the country.
Alrighty. Well, I mean, what do you think of this whole Black Lives Matter?
I mean, that's the biggest hoax of our generation.
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean? White lives don't matter, or Hispanic lives don't matter? You know, it's okay, just the black lives, because you know why is it that if a obvious racist crime happens against anyone other than black people, it's not charged as a race crime. But if something happens to black people, oh, let's get Obama involved, let's get Eric Holder involved, let's make this a federal case.
You know what? I don't know why, but the fact that it happens, doesn't that tell you and me that there's something really, really wrong going on in this country?
Well, it just seems like it's retribution for years and years of, well, in their mind, years and years of slavery, racism, civil rights violations, you know, stuff like that. So it's like, oh well, now since we get, you know, we're able to get this free money from the government, you know, let's stop being productive members of society, and you know, let's make whitey pay for, you know, not being able to, you know, use our food stamps to get our nails done and shit.
I don't know what to say about that, but the level of racial hostility, black on white, nobody's even hiding it anymore. It's like it's in the headlines, it's in the stories, it's on all the radio stations. Nobody cares. They're just free to say it. They're free to say any ignorant piece of misinformation that they want. Okay. I wrote a story 10 days after the death of Michael Brown, saying the whole thing was a lie and a hoax. By then, 10 days, we knew his hands were not up. We knew he wasn't running. We knew he was not a gentle giant. We knew he was not shot in the back. We knew he tried to rob that Asian guy. All these lies were transparent 10 days after the shooting. But still, everybody kept spreading the lies around. So it's our mission. Lewis, it's our mission. Yep. Tell the truth. Fear not. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no. Oh, no. Like, my son was a good boy. He didn't deserve to be killed by the po-po.
I keep a collection of those videos on my website. The relatives, and they're always the same. Exactly what you just said. Mm-hmm. Like minutes after the shooting, the relatives show up. Blah blah. No, he's a good kid. Didn't have a gun. 2 days later, set the clock. You get a little stopwatch. Just go click click. 48 hours later, there are the Facebook pictures. The kid holding the gun. The kid holding the money. The kid, 15-year-old kid holding the pistol with the laser pointer, or the machine gun. Lots and lots of that.
Or the doobie.
Or the drugs. Yeah. Or the father. The father proudly showing off his son's bullet wounds. Talking about a case in Chicago by a kid by the name of Rayson. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I have a video on my website, on my YouTube page. The people gathered after he was shot, and there's one guy going, "Man, we ought to start a riot. They can't shoot all of us." Kept saying that.
Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that 12-year-old boy that was playing in the park and he got shot? What a sad thing. I don't know I haven't looked into that case. You tell me, what are the particulars, and are there any larger lessons to be drawn from it? There was a video of, the kid, he was playing with a toy gun, and someone called 911 because apparently he was pointing it at people, allegedly. And, as he was, playing by himself at a gazebo, the cops, basically pulled up and just started shooting.
Yeah, you tell me, are there any larger lessons to be drawn from this? Or is it just an isolated case of some kind of crazy, horrible mistake?
I don't know. I don't know, because they juxtapose this with, Michael Brown, with Trayvon Martin, and other.
Yeah, de Blasio. After that happened, Rudy Giuliani said de Blasio is an anti-cop and he's hurting the city. Yeah. And de Blasio came back and said, "Listen, we've got Trayvon Martin, we've got Ferguson, and we've got that kid you're talking about in Cleveland. That's 3 examples. That's a pattern. There must be something going on." Well, on my books, on my YouTube channel, I do a pattern of thousands of examples of black on white crime, black mob violence, racial violence. And the same people who say 3 things are a pattern will look at the thousands of things that happen, and they look at it and go, "Colin, I just don't see it."
Well,
our mission, your mission, and you can't go back on me again. Your mission for the rest of your life is just speak the truth, and that's how we're going to win. Speak the truth.
Well, I kind of, when 4 months ago, I posted some pictures of my reaction after Michael Brown's stepfather was talking about to burn this motherfucker down. I kind of made some jokes that said, "Pissed off when you realize you don't have a job because Michael Brown's stepdad burnt that motherfucker to the ground." How pissed off you got when you went to the Spanish restaurant and Michael Brown's stepfather burnt that motherfucker down. And that awkward moment when you realize the best Brazilian BBQ in Missouri is in Ferguson. And, yeah.
And how many? I should know this, but I don't. How many businesses were burned out of Ferguson?
I don't know.
Dozens? I don't even know.
I would say dozens. I would say, but the joke that everyone was saying is, "Oh yeah, we're gonna protest by burning down our own fucking neighborhood to the ground."
And the weird thing to me is, again, I don't really care about the losers that were throwing Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
But what I do care about, I think, is afterwards. And they still say this to this day. I heard the president say this just a couple days ago on a video. They still say the protests in Ferguson were largely peaceful. Largely peaceful. That's what the Attorney General said. That's what the president said. Now, that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with this level of either deception or delusion on a scale that we have never experienced before in public life.
Like
So it's up to you, Louis. Yeah. It's up to me. Working together, we're just going to tell the truth. We're not going to get freaky about it. Mm-hmm. We're just going to sit here and go, here we stand. Here is the truth.
That's like saying mostly the Nazis were mostly nice guys.
Well, what's the expression? Only takes a teaspoon of manure to ruin a gallon of ice cream.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. People actually say a version of what you said. You know, they get a killer in court, and the friends and family will step forward and they'll say, listen, he was only a killer for like that 1, 2 or 3 minute window in time. 99% of the time, he was a nice person. Okay. And they act surprised when the person doesn't walk with them hand in hand out of court because the judge doesn't see it that way.
Yeah.
It's weird. Louis, isn't it weird that you and I have to sit here, have to state the obvious? We have to sit here and talk about some very, very obvious things. And then inside of us feel the need to apologize for stating the obvious.
Well, that's the thing. I shouldn't have white guilt. Just you got me questioning myself. Why the hell do I have white guilt? I'm a dark-skinned Hispanic my damn self.
And so
it's like, wait a minute.
You're going to change. That was the old you, Louis. That was the you of 30 minutes ago. Yeah. Your new you is not going to go around apologizing.
It's like, okay, well, I guess you know what? Getting punched in the face is not that bad.
Louis, let me ask you this. Any black person ever come up and apologize to you for the bullshit you had to go through in high school that forced you to leave your high school?
No. It's just on the contrary. It's like a laugh to the face. And you know, they sing that song by Notorious B.I.G. that one line. You've been robbed, and it's a joke.
It's a joke. Guess what? We're not laughing anymore, Louis.
Mm-hmm. So what is the solution? How do we convince them to clean up their own house?
I'm not convinced. Listen, I am not going to convince a bunch of criminals and losers to see the error of their ways. Couldn't care less what they do.
But they produce more and more criminals.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
They're producing more and more criminals, especially with all the single mother families.
All good. Yeah, I've heard all that. Yeah, that's on my list of 1,000 excuses. Believe me.
Yeah.
So, but what I do care about are the people who enforce the law, the people who report the law, the reporters. I do care that they start looking at this for what it is. And I don't want them to keep offering excuses. So that's where the battle is. You and I have to sit here, tell the truth, force other people to tell the truth, demand the truth. And I'm not going to go chasing around people that are leading a preferred lifestyle of crime and violence. No. No. That doesn't work.
All right, then. So,
but if somebody punches you in the face, Louis,
yeah.
If those black guys punched you in the face in high school, mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and ask you to keep in mind all the deprivation they went through that led to them punching you in the face.
Oh,
guess what? That's insane.
Oh well, I ended up transferring to another high school, but this high school that I went to, and you could look it up. It made the papers for being one of the worst schools. Park West High School in Midtown Manhattan. The principal at the time, like, let's say a kid got caught fighting or assault another student, Principal Brancato, that was his name, he would just say, "Oh, he apologized," and he would just let it go. And that's what happened to me. I got punched in the face. We went to the principal. He just apologized. He let the kid leave the office, and he turns to me and is like, "So you think you could, stay out of trouble?"
I got a chapter in the book on victims who have been charged with crimes. That happens so much. Happened in Savannah a few months ago. Yeah. People out for a Mother's Day celebration. They were set on by a large crowd of black people, assaulted. This is 2 families, downtown Savannah. The guys' faces are busted up, broken eye, broken nose, broken bones. They were beating up the 5-year-old girl. They charged one of the fathers with assault because he tried to protect his family and fight back against a large mob of black people. This was a big story down in Atlanta. In Atlanta, they're going, what the hell's going on? In Savannah TV, they're going, well, we don't really know what happened here. And, so there's a lot of that going on. And the only way you and I are going to set it right is tell the truth about it. That's what we're doing right now. So, but let me say this. So how do we do it? But there are a lot of different ways to speak the truth. So here's what I suggest. Let's stay away from the big causes, big solutions. Let's stay away from apologies. Let's stay away from pretending that we're theologians or sociologists or psychologists or any kind of ologist. Let's just stick with facts. Let's stick with what we have in front of us. Let's stick what's happening every day. The stuff I write about, the stuff I put on my YouTube channel. We have facts. Facts beat theories. Facts beat excuses. Facts beat theology. Everybody wants to go into these areas that they don't know anything about. That's why we're losing now. That's why we're in the place where we are now. So, don't let go of the fact that somebody, that you were a victim of racial violence in high school. That is truth. That has power. And I don't know why we have to pretend it never existed or that it has no meaning.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're told, you're told, oh, get over it. That happened so long ago. Okay, so the slavery. I mean, get over it. Oh, they used to sick German shepherds on us. Oh, okay, get over it. That happened so long ago. There are laws against doing that now. We're not protected the same way as white people are.
Want me to tell you the kryptonite to almost every excuse? Mm-hmm. Utter the following words. Could you send me a link to that? As you might imagine, I get 1 million people that come up with 1 million imaginary excuses, imaginary scenarios. They go, Colin, well, what about black people not being able to move into white neighborhoods? Could you send me a link to that? What about all the white people rioting after football games? Well, could you send me a link to that? Guess what? They're just making it all up. They're fairy tales without any substance. Kryptonite. Send me a link. Yeah. Send me a story. Oh, and by the way, you're not allowed to make it up.
Well, there you go. Oh, that works for feminists too.
Hey, my man, listen, you got your hands full. You don't have to worry about the lovely ladies.
Well, I cover everything, especially a little off topic here. I'm sorry, but especially when they want to make a big stink about a comic book cover being sexist towards women, especially when you have false rape allegations happening. I mean, that's happened to me. I've been falsely accused of rape once before, so I think that's also a big issue.
Something to think about.
Yeah. So there's that. So what was your what do you cover in Don't Make the Black Kids Angry?
Well, I do a couple. One, I started out with what I think are the worst stories in the book. So each chapter, the book is really easy to read because the chapters are short. Mm-hmm. So I start out in, I think I start out with what I call the worst story of Louisville. Mm-hmm. A couple of hundred black people in downtown Louisville this time last year. They rioted, they beat up grandparents, beat up gay people, destroyed property, all on video. Then here's the punchline. A couple days later, after they have something, the mayor, of course, everybody says, "Oh, this is, this was of something very small." That turned out to be a lie. He goes, "Well, it wasn't small, but it's never happened before." That turned out to be a lie. Well, it wasn't small. It's happened before, but race had nothing to do with it. That was a lie. Because 3 days later, after they have one of these big things, they always have a community meeting, right? People get together and they go, well, what happened? Well, what happened was, according to NPR, that white people and their racism caused this enormous case of black mob violence. And so I got a story like that. There's a story out of Rochester where they put new immigrants from Asia into the black community in Rochester. For 5 years, over 1,000 cases of black on Asian violence, daily thing. Cops ignored it. Unbelievable, unbelievably bad. So I give a lot of those stories, but then I also kind of talk about, we go into schools and we see what kids are learning about race. We see what they're learning about racial resentment, racial hostility. We see how they train the teachers in hostility and racism.
I mean, you read stories where teachers are just quitting because students are either, assaulting them. Well, black students are assaulting them, hitting them with books. They're uncontrollable. I think it's from one of your videos.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of stuff on teachers being assaulted by black students. Okay, I'm going to give you a quiz. See how close you're reading it. Okay, let's go back. I want to go back to Ferguson and St. Louis. In Ferguson and the St. Louis area, what percent of teachers, white teachers, quit on the first day?
80%.
50. And they have this 50% of white teachers quit on the first day. And the St. Louis Post-Dispatch ran a big story on it, and they ran a story on this unbelievable level of violence in schools directed at teachers. And they found out what the problem was. The problem was there were too many white teachers.
Huh. How's that work?
It's like asking, like, how does Alice go down the rabbit hole? It's a fairy tale. It's a delusion, and the delusion is widespread. Front page story, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. This is what we're dealing with right now. The level of violence, black students against teachers, is enormous. A lot of it on video too. That's a whole separate book. The teachers are starting to figure this out. The teachers union in places like Baltimore, Philly, Milwaukee, Houston, New York, Buffalo, Albany. Teachers union is coming forward and going, our teachers are not safe anymore in classrooms.
Yeah, I mean, and then they're pretty much not allowed to defend themselves, because if they hit a child back, that's a lawsuit. That's probably a criminal charge. So I mean, kids know they can't get hit back. So
we got the teachers under assault. Then we got videos of the students fighting each other in classrooms and cafeterias. Bottom line is, the black schools in America are in a constant state of chaos and violence. And so it turns out, how many black people drop out of high school by like 10th grade? Some crazy number, 50, 60, 70%, sometimes higher.
What do you think of that correlation that they try to make, and you're probably going to say, show me the link, of school, the way schools teach black students to basically prepare them to go to jail? Like the pipeline from school to jail.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Or that almost 90 or 80% of preschool black children are expelled.
I hear that a lot, and it's all. And I heard the president talk about it the other day. And so the solution of the president and the attorney general is to go around the country telling school boards, school districts, that if there is any disparity in the rate of punishment and discipline and performance academically, or if there's disparity in punishment, there's only one reason only for that disparity, and that is racism. Teachers all around the country are getting the message. They cannot discipline black children anymore. And we see the results of that on video every day.
Yeah. In fact, here, this is from NPR.org. A new government study on discipline in the nation's public schools shows just how very early that gap is present. According to the report, black children make up 18% of preschoolers, but make up nearly half of all out-of-school suspensions. We're talking mostly 4-year-olds, people. Across age groups, black students are 3 times more likely than white students to be suspended. While boys make up a large majority of students who are suspended, about 8 in 10, about 12% of black girls are suspended, and 7% of Native American girls are suspended. That's a rate higher than that of white boys, 6%. Black students make up about 16% of enrolled students, but make up more than a quarter of all students who are referred to the police. Native Americans are also overrepresented among the suspended. They make up 1% of the enrolled students, but 2% of the suspended. Students with blah blah blah. Students with disabilities. Who cares? That's.
So there's only one reason only, why that exists. White racism. That is the official policy of the United States government. And guess what? It's not just kindergarten. It's not just preschool. It's grade school, high school, college. It's the workplace. It's prisons. It's courts. It's on the streets. Disparity equals bias.
Okay.
But notice the commonality. At every step, every turn, we're constantly relieving the people who are guilty of the misconduct, the crime. We're relieving them of responsibility.
Exactly.
How's that going to work out?
It doesn't. That's exactly what they do with women as well. With I'm sorry, I know I keep coming back to feminism, but there's similarities going on here between the way society treats feminists with the way society treats blacks in this country.
I'll tell you the big similarity that I notice is not with feminism, but the way the newspapers treat Islam.
Yes.
And there's the similarity. It's like there's all this enormous stuff happening all over the world. People are doing all this crazy stuff in the name of Islam, but the reporters look at you and go, that had nothing to do with religion, Colin. Okay, whatever. People representing Islam look at you and go, that had nothing to do with our religion. We're a religion of peace. And I tell you, you want to hear the kryptonite on use on that? Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about Jews? I'm convinced the central organizing feature of Islam is hatred of Jews. That's very difficult for a lot of them to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny though, because Jesus is the most quoted person in the Quran, and they call him a prophet of Muhammad, or a prophet of Allah. And last time I checked, Jesus was born Jewish, correct? I mean,
it's a funny business, yeah. and getting into the theology of it takes away what's happening right now.
Yeah. I wanted to read this article that I found on Breitbart.com. Rapper Azalea Banks, who the picture they have here, she looks like a crack whore, lashed out at racist conservative white people and fat white Americans in a wide-ranging race-heavy interview for her cover of Playboy magazine this month. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Yes, I hate everything about this country, Banks replied when Playboy asked if she wanted to leave the United States. Like, I hate fat white Americans. All the people who are crunched into the middle of America, the real fat and meat of America, are these racist conservative white people who live on their farms.
I got a kick out of Azalea Banks because in December, right when I was finishing up the book, her big thing was spend your Christmas holidays, black people, looking up the families of people who used to own slaves. Go to their houses and harass them and ask for reparations. So her big thing is reparations. So they had an NPR producer and a guy who wrote for NPR. He tweeted her. He goes, "Hey, I just want you to know I really support everything that you're doing as a white guy." She tweeted back almost right away. She goes, "I hope somebody punches you in the face, you stupid white cracker."
Wow.
So that's a sick puppy there. But guess what? Is her point of view out of the mainstream? No, it's not. Let's not focus on the messenger. Let's focus on the message. That's a mainstream message. White people suck. White people are evil. White racism is everywhere. And I say it's time you and I start calling them on it.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen that? Well, I don't want to call it a documentary. That movie by Tariq Nasheed. About melanin and about black people being.
I just heard Tariq's name the other day.
Yeah.
And he did a video about me once, and somebody just sent it to me like a couple weeks ago. So no, I haven't seen his movies, but now that I've heard his name twice in a week, I guess I should start paying attention to him. Yeah. The melanin thing is a very popular theme of the black Muslims. But it's like, why are we getting into this goofy biology when
Hidden Colors, which is a trilogy. He made 3 of those, Hidden Colors, and he goes into. I actually watched them. They're entertaining. He talks about how they kill black people to harvest their organs. That's why they try not to save black people, so that way they harvest their organs and they give the family back an empty body.
Nice.
So that way they could save white people, and they're like, oh well, black people are superior because they could withstand a bunch of stuff. They're smarter because of their melanin, and because of their melanin, they can access a spiritual third eye. They're the ones that made Native Americans. They made Japanese people. They made it all the way to the Orient. That's why you have dark skinned people everywhere. Is because King Nakawanda from Egypt sailed and just explore. They were the first people in the New World before Christopher Columbus.
Here's the thing, Louis.
Yeah.
As a libertarian, you already know this. Mm-hmm. But you are entitled to be to people to accept you as they find you. Mm-hmm. Not what you're not. That's it. Mm-hmm. And not what's happening now. Not what probably didn't even happen hundreds of years ago. And this whole collectivist thing, it's, as a libertarian, this whole collectivist impulse is evil. It's the most evil in the world. And the good impulse is the individual impulse. The impulse that binds you and me together as free people, freely exchanging, not because we're members of some nebulous tribe that we had no choice to belong to. So, all we can do is look at that and go, man, that's the craziest fairy tale I've ever heard in my life. But hey, good luck. But I will tell you, that's another mainstream point of view. That kind of stuff, very, very popular among black people.
Yeah, I found the video. I guess he did this 2 years ago about you, but it's 156 minutes. And I was trying to find the video. It's
I posted it on my webpage. I cut it out. What the party said about me. Not that big of a deal, really, but
I'm kind of interested.
It's on my website.
Okay, White Girl Bleed a Lot or Colin?
It's on my YouTube page. It's easier to find on my YouTube page. I don't know what I called it, but it's there. I got a lot of cool. Tell you what, these videos. Once you start looking at these videos, a lot of people can't stop because they just go, "Wow, it just keeps happening, doesn't it?"
Check out his YouTube page. It's youtube.com/BamaFanatic12345. That is BamaFanatic12345.
It's easy to find. Just put Colin Flaherty or White Girl Bleed a Lot. You'll find it very easy.
Yeah. Just okay. Let me Tariq. Let's do a quick search on your channel. And damn. Okay.
I probably did not put his name in the title. I would if I had known he was like a famous guy, I would have put his name in the title. I'll change that, so I'll go find it.
Yeah, I mean he is well known. He's one of these pro black guys, but he used to be a pimp. In fact, Tommy Sotomayor kind of exposed him because he was on. He did a skit for The Awful Truth with that fat fuck. What's his name? Michael Moore. His show, his comedy show that. But he played a pimp. He was a congressional pimp, going around. He was in in Washington D.C. talking to Congress people like they were hoes and stuff. That was the whole skit.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, big man. Have we anything left unsaid here in this conversation?
Pretty much no. I think we pretty much covered everything. Do you besides look, I want everyone to go into the info section, and I already put a link to where to buy Don't Make the Black Kids Angry, and also White Girl Bleed a Lot. Definitely consider picking up a copy for you and yours. It makes good stuff. Stocking stuffers. I give it to your pastor, your rabbi, as a gift. Give it to your favorite African studies teacher. They'll probably get a kick out of it.
I think last year, I think more people gave that book as a gift than any other book in the country, because a lot of people, especially at like family dinners, people would take one of my books, slam it down in front of the family liberal or the family crazy person, and they would go, "Read this, you blankety blank blank blank." There's a lot of that going on.
Well, there you go. So, sir, it was an honor having you on. Whenever you want to come on, you have an open invitation.
Appreciate that. Now, I'm telling you right now, if I listen to your show and I hear even the hint of apology, I want you to start looking over your shoulder, because I'm coming for you. You got me?
Yes, I promise.
We're not going to do that anymore.
Anyways, I would like to apologize to all the black people that I've offended during the show. I will be. Please send a letter.
Oh, come on, man! Listen, the only thing, one thing would ever have to apologize for is making a mistake.
Yeah.
So if we made a mistake, I'll look you in the eye and say, my bad. We're going to apologize for telling the truth.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
If anything I've said offended anybody in the listening audience, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry, and I'll be going on an apology tour.
Oh man,
yeah, no. I actually have a lot of respect for Anthony Cumia for not even doing that. He's like, I'm not apologizing for shit.
What he says. I think I may have picked this up off of him. I'm not sure. He said, "Show me what I did wrong. I'll apologize."
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he didn't say anything different than what he said on the Opie and Anthony show. I grew up listening to Opie and Anthony, for God's sakes. It's freaking ridiculous. It's this knee-jerk reaction of corporations that there wasn't even a protest to get him fired.
Yeah, you know what? I have a lot of respect for Anthony Cumia. He was one of the earlier national media guys to pick up my book, White Girl Bleed a Lot, and he really, really liked it, and that he made a big difference.
Yeah. Alrighty. So thank you for coming on. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I'm sorry if I've offended anybody.
Oh man.
I also will be speaking at the Black Caucus and apologizing to them. Jimmy McMillan, I'm sorry to Jimmy McMillan. The rent is too damn high. I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna.
Hey, well, we'll get you. If you're going to do that, we'll get you a sign. We'll put it on your back. It says, "Beat me."
Yeah, I'll be beating myself like I was a member of Opus Dei.
There you go.
Just start flogging myself. Louis Farrakhan is my Lord and Savior. No, he's not. I'm just talking shit now.
Okay.
So,
all right, big man. I'm gonna let you say goodbye to your audience and all the best, and talk to you again soon.
yeah, follow Colin at Colin Flaherty. Oh God, I'm gonna have to learn how to pronounce his last name all over again. I'm just gonna have to. That's COLINFLAHERTY, or just go into the info of this and just get it. I'll put a link in the description, and go to whitegirlbleedalot.com. Like to thank everyone for listening. This has been the Crotch Shot Radio Show, and as always, from my house to your house, mahalo.
That's the end of my show. Donk.